everybody, PMT here. It's Memorial Day weekend 2021 and I'm going to smoke a brisket this weekend. Basically I have a flat. As most of you know, there's different cuts of brisket. There's the flat and the point, and together it makes the whole packer. This is just the flat. It's a little thin. We'll get into the cooking later, but the flat's thin, so it means the cooking time's not going to be as long. But right now, it's Sunday morning. I'm going to prepare this, hopefully have it done for around noon or so on Monday, which is again Memorial Day. So I'm going to prepare it right now, trim some of the fat, get a little bit of salt on it, put it back in the fridge for a while, then I'll rub it later before I put it on tonight, let it cook all night, and then we'll have it for lunch with some friends on Monday. So again, right now I'm just going to trim some fat, and then I'll put a little bit of salt on it and get it back in the fridge. The salt just breaks it down a little bit, makes it a little more tender, so when the rub goes on, it takes the rub and keeps all the juices in there, and the rub will give it a nice bark. So right now, all I'm really looking to do is cut a little bit of this fat off, and as you'll see, I'll show you the fat cap in a minute on this side, but as you see, there's just some fat around here that we can just kind of trim. I'll do some of these real quick. You don't want to take too much meat if you can help it. Just get some of that fat off. And then there's always, not always, there's usually a really hard side. If you can feel this, it's really hard. That part doesn't cook very well, so I'm going to trim that off over here. And once you get that hard part out, then you'll be in much better shape. That part just doesn't cook very well. It's mostly fat anyway. So I'll trim this all off. I'll have to turn it in a second. And while I'm talking about this, let's talk about the fat cap for a minute. There's a lot of theories on whether or not you should cook it fat cap side up or fat cap side down. I do fat cap side up. That way it renders. You can have it render while it's in your smoker, and keeps those nice juices going over the meat as it renders. Again, I'll finish that in a few minutes. Here's the fat cap side. I like to keep about a 1/4 inch of fat cap on there, at least, maybe even a 1/2 inch. If you can see right here, that's about a 1/4 inch there, so I'm not going to do too much with it. I am going to trim these pieces over here because this is just fat you don't need right here. There you go. I'll trim a little bit more of this. There's a little bit of meat on there. There you go. So again, that's pretty good. Maybe take a little bit of this off because this is that hard part I was talking about. You can kind of feel the texture. It's very hard. So I'm going to cut that off right here. It really doesn't really take that much trimming. Again, you don't, especially on the fat cap side, you don't want to leave a lot of, you don't want to take too much off because again, that helps to cook it. This part's a little bit hard right here, so we'll take a little bit off of this too. Need a nice sharp knife. I sharpened my knife this morning, so we're good to go. All right, so it looks pretty good as far as the trimming goes. Now, once again, I'm going to get a little bit of salt on there, and in a couple minutes, then I'll finish trimming this, and now we're ready for salt. Okay, now that we've trimmed the fat off of both sides, again, I left probably about a 1/4 inch of the fat cap on. Again, you put that on top when you smoke it, fat cap side up, and it'll kind of render down. There's a little bit of fat on here if you can see it still, but that little bit will melt right away. So again, now I'm just going to put a little bit of salt on it, and again, it'll kind of break it down a little bit, and that'll allow when I put the rub on later, that'll allow those spices to kind of get in there and do their job and make a nice thick bark for us. All right, so now just going to salt it a little bit. You can use any kind of salt. I prefer using sea salt with a grinder, just makes it easy. But you can put it on any kind of salt in any way you want. Just a little bit goes a long way. Just gotta kind of coat it and let this salt kind of just break down the outer part of the brisket here, the outer part of the flat. And that's about it. I'm going to flip it and do the other side, but for now, this side's good. And again, I'm going to wrap it back up, make sure it's sealed nice and tight, put it back in the fridge till tonight, and I'll see you back later tonight, and I'll go over my rub, what I use, and show you how to do that. All right, everybody, until later. All right, guys, we're back. So earlier today, I put a good layer of salt on this thing, and we're good to go. I gave it about 12, well, probably, yeah, about 12 hours, just to get that salt to get in there and you know, get deep. And now I'm going to put the rub on. I make a lot of rub, that way I don't have to do it every single time. I make, you know, 2 or 3 times the amount, but my associate here, in other words, my 15-year-old son Luke, is filming, and he's going to put the recipe for my rub right into this video, so you'll be able to see it. But basically, you know, a little bit of everything. But you can find rubs all over the internet. Whatever you guys want, give it a try. I recommend mine. It's really good, and again, he'll give you that recipe. But I make a lot, that way I can put it on here, and but I'm just gonna rub it in, and then I'm gonna flip it. But I'll rub it in right now. What this is gonna do, give it a nice bark, and that's what you want when you cook it. I'm gonna cook it at about 225 degrees. And what that does, it keeps it low and slow. I like to do it low and slow. And again, with this cut of meat, this is a flat, it's not very thick. I'm guessing an hour and a half or so, around there, an hour and a half per pound. This is about 8.5 pounds of meat. So it's not gonna take me that long. It's about midnight right now. We're gonna put this on. It's probably gonna be done by 10 a.m. or so, just based on how thick it is. So I'll flip it, I'll rub the other side, and I'll throw it on. I'll be right back after I rub the other side, and we'll throw it on. All right. Okay. I have everything rubbed at this point. Check it out. Again, you don't want to go too heavy, but definitely not too light. This is what's gonna create the bark. The bark is gonna be that crust when you're done, and it's going to be beautiful when you cut into that bad boy, I'm telling you. Okay, everyone loves a brisket. You can do it a million ways, but what I would recommend is look into, you know, whatever kind of smoker you have. I happen to have a big green egg, but whatever kind of smoker you have, you want to think about what you're going to smoke it with. I'm going with mesquite right now, mesquite wood. I got some chunks set up already in my big green egg. I might put a couple chips in there, but the biggest thing is your meat is only going to take about 30 to 45 minutes of smoke at the very beginning. So that's the most important part of the cook, because you're going to want that smoke to hit the meat. That's when you're going to get your really nice smoke ring, that pink ring all around the inside of your meat. So again, I'm using mesquite this time. It depends on the cut of meat, what you want to use. You can use hickory, mesquite, whatever you want to use. I prefer more of a Texas brisket, so I'm going with mesquite. I'm going to cook it at about 225. I'm going to keep it low and slow. And again, at 225, it's going to take about an hour and a half per pound. But again, something, you know, with the flat, it's pretty thin, so it might not take quite an hour and a half. So I'm guessing with 8 pounds, you know, 10 to 12 hours, and this will be done. But we'll see on the flip side. I'm going to throw it on in a minute, and we'll show you that as soon as we get outside. Okay, so we just got it on. I got a lot of smoke right now. The key is I'm doing it low and slow, like, you know, most people do. My goal is 225. I'm going to get the pin up to 225. I'm going to cook it low and slow. Again, it's the my associate's showing you all the smoke I got going right now. The smoke's gonna go the best for the first 30 to 45 minutes of the smoke. Again, at 225, it's gonna take a while. Like I said, an hour and a half about per pound. Again, the thinner the cut, the shorter it might be, so you never know. You're gonna hit a stall. The stall, you know, maybe an hour and a half, couple hours to 5, 6, 7 hours. But it's gonna take when it takes. But I got as you can see here, I got a digital thermometer there and a digital pit temp, and I got a blower. So we'll get it off when it comes off, and we'll talk about the rest tomorrow. And when I say the rest, I mean we're gonna let the meat rest once I pull it off. Not a dad nap, but we'll get to that tomorrow. Thanks again, and when we pull this off, we'll see you tomorrow. All right, welcome back. Good morning. I just want to go over a couple things before we take it off. It's almost 8 in the morning, so it's been on only like 7.5 hours, which isn't too bad. But I want to go over a couple things like the my meat thermometer and my pit reader, so you know how warm your temp is, so you don't go too high or too low during your cook. And also what we're gonna do when we take it off, we're gonna wrap it and then put it in a cooler and let it rest. Timing is actually great for me. Letting it rest for 3-4 hours is fine. It's actually good. So that'll sit well, and then I'll start slicing my my delicious brisket a little bit later. But I highly recommend a good meat thermometer. I have a digital one. I'll show you in a second. Let me take you over to the over here to my green egg. I got my meat thermometer in the meat, and then I have my my pit reader right there. So that way, let me close this up. I haven't opened it all night, by the way. It's been on, like I said, around 8 hours. But I haven't opened it all night until just now, just to show you that meat thermometer. It's digital. I can look on my phone. I don't even have to go outside when it's bad weather. I can check it. And then also what you have here, I have my cooler, and I'm just going to take that. I'll throw it on the tray there, and I'll close my cooler, and that will keep it. That'll keep it warm. That'll keep it good. Like I said, I've done 4, 5, 6 hours before in that cooler. All right, we're going to take it off in a second, and I'll show you that. Be right back. Okay, we're going to take it off now. The internal temperature got to about 202, which is perfect. I want to do 202, 203, right around there. But all I'm going to do now is take my meat probe out, and then I'm going to put it on my, grab it right here. I got my good gloves. Oh, this is going to be really tender. It feels really good. By the looks of it, it looks pretty good too. Like I said, I'm going to put it in that cooler and let it rest for about four hours or so. My guests are going to be here around noon, so it'll be perfect. I'll slice it up and we'll chow down on this thing. It's going to be great, and I'll bring you back while I slice it, just to show you how you go against the grain and everything like that. Until later, like I said, 4 hours or so, we'll be back. Happy Memorial Day. All right, welcome back, guys. It rested for a while in the cooler. Now I'm ready to slice. If you can see it, can you zoom in on that, assistant? Thank you. So the grain's going this way, right? You always want to cut the brisket against the grain. Again, the flat and the point, if you're cooking a whole packer, the point will go in a different direction. So you have to separate that. You might even want to do that before you cook it, but the point goes in a different direction than the flat. So again, the grain's going this way. I'm going to start slicing this way, and then we're going to take a look. You're going to want to do, yeah, it's falling apart on me. Oh, that's some good burn ends right there. But what you're going to want to do is cut it about pencil thin, like a number 2 pencil. And I'll just cut a couple here so you can see it. Look at that, it's got a nice, that dark pink right there is the smoke ring. And that's some good looking brisket right there. I'll cut one more slice. And then I'm gonna give it a try. Obviously you guys can't taste it, but I'm telling you, delicious. If you have any questions, please post it to this video and I'll answer them right away. And also, my assistant's gonna put my rub recipe in there. It's really easy, and again, there's a million out there, but give mine a shot, it's really good. Until next time, PMT Smoke Shack, peace out.